Hello there, my name is Bill. This is 0 to 60 Motoring. So today I'm reviewing a very special car. This is a Mazda CX5. The Mazda CX5 production started back in 2013, so it has been in the market, especially for the Kenyan market, for like 5 years. In the last 2 years, the Mazda CX5 has been the best-selling car in our market. The Mazda CX5 petrol last year was going for 1.9 million. The diesel version of it was going for around 1.7 million. But currently, due to price shoots, the CX5 diesel is going for 2.2 million to 2.5 depending on the trim level, while the petrol version is starting at 2.5 million shillings. So come along with me until the end of this video so that you learn more about this Mazda CX5. So this is a 2014 Mazda CX5 from the front, because going for 2015 years, which are currently being imported into the Kenyan market, you'll notice the front has slightly changed. There is some facelift that has been done. So this front is inspired by Mazda's code design of language. Mazda code design of language basically gives all Mazda cars a similar face. So this face, you will find it in the Mazda Xela, you'll find it in the new Mazda Demio, in the Mazda Tenza, all Mazda cars actually. So in the front, this is how this car looks. There's nothing spectacular to talk about it. So the most important thing on this Mazda CX5 is how it looks on the side profile. So the Mazda CX5 has curves. It's curvaceous. I'll use that word, though it's normally used on people. So this shape, these curves, is what gives the Mazda actually one of the best aesthetics in this class, because to me it looks better than the 2015 Toyota RAV4. It looks better than the Honda CR-V. That's why I guess this car is synonymous to ladies. Ladies love them because of the looks. So this car normally in this trim level is offered with 18-inch alloy wheels, but these are aftermarket, so you won't find them in the market. In case you are going to shop for a similar unit, you won't be finding these wheels. These are aftermarket. So the Mazda design continues on the rear. On the rear, actually, you have this rear spoiler. It gives this car a good look. You have this Mazda CX5 badge. This is Sky Active technology. So Sky Active technology basically is tells you what is it's some technology on how the engine works. So Sky Active means the engine is able to burn fuel in a very efficient manner while not compromising on performance. So I'll come into the performance of this Mazda CX5 when I'll be doing a road test. So that's how this car looks, and I guess most people I've interacted with in the car industry, those interested in buying cars, tell me the Mazda CX5 is one of the best looking cars in this class. So I'll not object to them. While I understand looks are perspective, I'll give them the advantage. So if you're looking for a good looking crossover, the Mazda CX5 will check your boxes. So how is the interior of this Mazda CX5? So compared to other class in this segment, for example, the Nissan X-Trail and the Mitsubishi Outlander, which I've checked in the recent past, especially in the base models, this Mazda CX5 may not put a smile on your face, especially how it looks in the interior. Because in this trim level, which is the base model, you don't find something quite inspiring, and how in the interior is crafted. Because this one is offered with a fabric. It's offered with a fabric seats. The infotainment system does not allow you to connect the Bluetooth. That is, so that means the infotainment screen actually also does not give you an option of using it as a reverse camera. Maybe what you can find in this car, which is nowadays a trend, and it's in most cars, is the steering control buttons. So on the left side, you will find these volume control buttons. You can lower, you can add to your music. In info, you can change between different modes. On the right side, you have this cruise control setting. Cruise control basically is I'll say it's a system or technology that allows you, when driving, you can get to your feet from the pedals and the car can drive itself. So you set it at at a constant pace, so the car can be able to maintain some speed while you are driving. I'm not sure where you'll use that in Kenya. Maybe along long drives and then when there's no traffic. So it's a good feature, but I honestly I don't understand why you use it. So that's all about this interior. I find it quite basic and not it may not put a smile on your face actually. Yeah. So that said, matters of practicality on this driver's position. This is the farthest you can stretch. You can stretch the seat. So the seats are manual actually. In this trim level, you adjust them manually. You can raise them manually. So what what I find quite good in this car is the spacing, especially for the driver's position. This space is quite enough. Even if you are a tall person or short, you'll find main adjustment. I understand that this steering should be telescopic. I'm not sure whether, yeah. So this steering wheel allows you to make adjustments. You can twist it upwards, downwards to your level, depending on how you like it. Yeah, so that's all about practicality and how this cabin looks like of this Mazda 2014 Mazda CX5. So moving to the back side of the Mazda CX5, this is normally my driving position. So as you can see, there is enough room because this seat is stretched to the farthest. So that means that there will be enough room if you can contrast it with the one on the corduroy's position adjustment. So there is enough room for traveling in this back seat. It's I won't say it's pretty comfortable actually to sit on. So it's and the headroom is also pretty decent. So matters the interior space, I don't have a problem with the Mazda CX5. That is the rear spacing. Maybe where the problem is this middle seat, which is normally a problem actually in most cars, because as you can see, there is this hump. Because this car is a four-wheel drive, there is the drive shaft on this which channels power to the rear wheels. So that is why the person sitting here may not be that comfortable, especially on long drives. But on this seat and the other one, they are pretty comfortable for long drives. So let's know how spacious is the trunk of this Mazda CX5. Well, coming to the boot space of this CX5 actually, as you can see, there is enough room, I'll say that. While it's not the class leading, it's not as cavernous as the Honda CR-V, which is the class leader matter space. This space is pretty enough, especially for hauling your luggage. I don't think you may need that much space, whereby the Mazda CX5 may not be practical. So to me it's pretty enough, I'll say that. Yeah. So the Mazda CX5 is offered with 3 engine options. One of them is a diesel, what I have here. This is a 2.2 liter turbo diesel. Other engine options include a 2 liter petrol version and a 2.5 liter petrol also. The petrol versions are normally aspirated or natural aspirated. That means they don't have a forced induction system in the form of a turbo like this diesel, or in form of a supercharger, which is normally applied on performance petrol versions. So the CX5 diesel has been on the receiving end in recent times, basically because of reliability issues. I'll come to that when I'll be doing the driving test. So this engine is very powerful. It makes around 170 something horses and 420 Newton meters of torque. For purposes of reference, that this engine produces actually almost exact the same amount of power a diesel Land Cruiser Prado, that is a 3000 cc 1 kd diesel, will make, because it makes around 420 something Newton meters of torque. So basically this engine, the reason most of the CX5s around are diesel versions is because of fuel economy and the power, and also the cost, which I already mentioned earlier on. So this engine is paired with a 6-speed automatic transmission, which channels power to all the 4 corners of this car. So this car is an all-wheel drive variant. There is in the base model, there is a 2-wheel drive option, which normally is a front wheel, driving at the front wheels. So in the all-wheel drive version, that means in case you are going off-road, the car may come in handy to help you get out of those tough scenarios. But the 2-wheel drive option, which is a front wheel, it may not be that good for off-roading. Yes, so that's all about the powertrains of these CX5. Well, I'm behind the wheel of the Mazda CX5. This car is pretty easy to drive. I've been using a Mazda Xela for the last couple of weeks, and it's like this is a Mazda Xela, but on high hills, I'll say that, because it's pretty simple to drive. Now, what is under the hood of this car? As I said earlier, it's a 2.2 liter turbo diesel, which produces a very good amount of power. This car produces around 182 horsepower and 420 Newton meters of torque. That's pretty enough to keep this car rolling. So how does the three engines compare? For example, what I have here, the diesel, the petrol versions, and the diesel and the petrol versions. The diesel is the best engine if you are looking for power and maybe gas mileage. I'll tell you the fuel economy figures later. The 2-liter version of it, of the petrol version, is the best engine if you're looking for reliability and maybe fuel economy, but in a petrol version. The downside of that 2-liter version, it's a very sluggish engine. It's not that good if you are performance oriented. For example, if you are coming from a 1.5-liter hatchback, you may not find a difference when you are driving a 2-liter version of the CX5. Now the other engine is the 2.5-liter petrol version. That engine is normally aspirated, so it still has less power compared to this diesel version. So it's still slower than this, but at least it's way better than the 2-liter version of it. Yeah. So another thing I found good in this CX5 is the driving position. This driving position is pretty good, especially for a crossover. You have a good view of the road. Let me push it harder. So the car has become a little bit louder. That one basically tells you the engine actually is moaning harder. That means it is having a good time. The gearbox and the engine are having a good time with each other. So it should not be something that worries you. It's typical that diesel engines are pretty loud actually. Having driven 2-liter versions of the CX5, of the Nissan X-Trail, which comes with a CVT transmission, the non-turbo Subaru Forester, that is the SJ5, and the Outlander, in the one which is not the hybrid version. I can tell you this car is, you'll find a big difference when you step into this car. Well, as I said earlier, I have been using a 1.5-liter Mazda Xela, and immediately I stepped into this car, I realized there is a huge shoot matters power. Yeah, so this car is pretty powerful, I'll say that, and at the same time the fuel economy figures are good. So on the highway, this car is a gem, I'll say that, and the fuel economy figures are pretty good. In the feeder road where I was doing the car review, the fuel mileage was around 12 kilometers to the liter, but currently it has shot to around 19 kilometers to the liter, which I think is pretty decent, especially for this size of car. Overtaking is pretty simple because this car packs a good amount of torque. So overtaking is a breeze, I'll say that, because I have a massive power at my disposal. Yeah, it's a pretty simple car to drive, very powerful, but then this engine, the CX5 diesel engine needs a lot of care. For example, in the last couple of times I've seen posts and I've received numerous messages of people asking me, why are people saying the diesel version of the CX5 is pretty unreliable? It's pretty simple. For this year, for year 2014 and part of 2013, these engines had, I could say, a malfunction or a defect. We have to admit that. So they normally have issues with overheating and blowing of the gaskets. So experts will advise you to immediately replace the gaskets and service the car immediately after importation, because the price of overhauling actually may not solve an engine problem, especially for this car. The price of replacing this engine is 500,000 shillings. So it may be on the steep side in case it fails. Yeah, so this diesel version, while it's the best of matters power and gas mileage, it's not the best if you're not if you're not careful with the maintenance, that is. So go for this diesel version, while having it at the back of your mind that at some time it may cause a dent in your finances. That is if you're not keen about maintenance. So there is a pretty simple manner you can maintain this engine without many issues. Basically, one of them is by fueling at a reputable petrol station. That is. Another one is ensuring that you don't skip the services, the service interval. So make sure you fuel at reputable gas stations, and then you stick to the maintenance schedule. That way you'll have a pretty simple life with the CX5. So what is the verdict? How is this car value for money? So checking petrol versions, I could say they are value for money, especially for their reliability. The diesel version is value for money because of its fuel economy and the power. So currently, my prices for the Mazda CX5 have been on the rise. As I said earlier, the diesel version currently is going for 2.4 or 2.3 million shillings. The petrol version is in the north of 2.6 million. That is for the 2.5 liter, or 2.5 million for the 2 liter version. So the Toyota RAV4 and the Honda CR-V and maybe the Subaru Forester have been the stalwarts of this class. But in the last 2-3 years, the Mazda CX5 has managed to topple them from their position. It's basically because of the price and what this car offers. This car offers a very good amount of power, of course, good fuel economy, and then it's as practical as the two, because the Honda CR-V and the Toyota RAV4 are currently way above this Mazda CX5 in terms of pricing. For example, the 2015 Toyota RAV4 goes for over 3 million shillings, and there is nothing that car offers that this car won't offer. Maybe that is the reason why this car and maybe the Subaru Forester are currently the class leaders in this segment.
Remember to subscribe to help this channel grow.